Hey, welcome to the Two Dudes Talk Movies podcast. I'm Luke.
I'm Griffin.
And we are back again with another guest here to talk about one of his favorite movies, a movie from my childhood that has been locked away for some time, just kind of in a deep vault of memories and slowly remembering things as we watch it. But we're here with none other, the one and only Patrick Schmitz.
Thank you so much.
Patrick, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are, why you're here?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm the photo editor at the Daily Eastern News, but I also have a podcast that you can check out. Mini Sports Goodness, episode 4 should be coming out this week, so make sure to look for that.
Solid. So, what movie are we here to talk about that's woven so deeply into our childhoods?
So, early 2000s classic. This is probably the biggest thing that's happened in the early 2000s. Looney Tunes Back in Action from 2003. Joe Doppett.
Yeah, I believe so. Now, the film stars Joe Lasky as the voice of Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny, Brendan Fraser as DJ Drake, one of our leads, Jenna Elfman as the other lead, Kate, and then there's some side characters that are kind of part of this main cast here with, I lost the names, where did they go? Oh, there they are. Timothy Dalton as Damien Drake, who's DJ's dad, and Heather Locklear as Dusty Tales, even though she's not in this movie as much as I remember her being a part of it, which is odd. And everybody's favorite, Steve Martin as Mr. Chairman. We love Steve Martin. We're going to give a shout out to Steve Martin. And full disclosure, these headphones are not really working right now, and I can't hear anything, so I'm going to take these off, and hopefully that helps. Yeah, we'll see how that works. We're having tech difficulties, but it's fine. Yeah, thank you for the reminder. But yeah, so the film stars that crew of everybody and basically follows the plot of Daffy Duck getting fired from Warner Brothers and then going on this adventure to help DJ save his dad, who's plays a spy in a film as a cover for actually being a spy. And it's pretty a surface level joke, but it still works. And I do think humor is a pretty strong part of that movie. But before we get into any of our general takes, we got to hear what the guest has to say. Patrick, what are your general takes on this?
It's one of my favorite movies ever. I loved it as a child. As a child, if my parents ever asked me, what movie do you want to watch? I'd say this one. Definitely, from watching as a child, watching it now, very different. There's a lot of jokes and little gags and I completely forgot about. As well as over the years, I've kind of done some research on this movie, and there's a lot of like production, like nightmares. Like it was production for everyone doing it. It was terrible. I can get more into that in a little bit, but it was a crazy production nightmare. I don't know how they got anything so robotic, but it's still one of my favorite movies. It's still just such a lighthearted classic that it still has the Looney Tunes funny nature of it. That's just so great.
Yeah. And with you mentioning the production hell of this and kind of getting into that, let's hear a bit more about that.
So, okay. So, I'm going to go back to like, Warner Brothers didn't really have an animation department. They were mostly just kind of giving money to other departments to make animation movies for a while until Disney exploded. When Disney exploded around the 80s, 90s with all the classics, Aladdin, Lion King, all those movies, when they exploded, every other studio wanted to do the same. And so did Warner Brothers. So Warner Brothers created this Warner Brothers feature animation division. The issue with it immediately is that Disney grew their animation studio from the ground up for years. Warner Brothers did not. Warner Brothers said, you know what, we're going to do it just like live action film, and we're just going to build writing, get a bunch of freelance people, just like they do in live action. If you get a bunch of freelance people, all put them together, and then just make an animation movie. It's not how that happens. You have to actually grow a team up from the ground up. So that already didn't help. They then made, I think it's like 6 movies, animated movies. Only one of them was really a success, which was Space Jam, which is kind of crazy.
Peak Space Jam, everybody. Peak.
The other movie that was actually good is the Iron Robot.
Giant or robot?
Giant, my bad. It's the only animated movie that Warner Brothers made that did not have oversight from the people up top. So it's the only one that they could think of. But so Space Jam came out, and Warner Brothers wanted to replicate that, and so they were going to try and make a Space Jam 2, and that was stuck in developmental hell for years. They tried to make just a Space Jam 2 with Michael Jordan, but MJ never signed down, so that project got scrapped. Then they tried to make Spy Jam with Jackie Chan. Then they tried to make Race Jam with Jeff Gordon, which is actually kind of funny because Jeff Gordon is in this movie. State Jam with Tony Hawk, and then Space Jam 2 with Tiger Woods. So these were all like kind of storyboard pitches, but none of them worked. So they then just wanted to do a Looney Tunes movie, and that's when Joe Dante signed on. He was a big Looney Tunes fan, wanting to kind of keep to the roots of Looney Tunes, which you can still see in this movie. The issue is what he said this afterwards, that the beginning, the middle, and the end of what he signed on to do got completely changed. The product we saw, Dante did not sign on for. So during the entire movie process, there was oversight from all the top people of Warner Brothers, which knew nothing about animation, but they wanted to change jokes and the script and all of this, when they really couldn't because the animation was already pretty far along, and you can't just change that. And I think it's just funny with how much oversight was on this project. I think Dante was so angry with it. He hated it. He would never do it again. He has said this. But it's funny because the inciting incident of this movie is Warner Brothers being stupid.
And we all know they've kept that reputation up, so...
Yeah, so the gist of the production from Hell is pretty much just Warner Brothers was stupid. And Warner Brothers just tried to have too much oversight, and it eventually kind of tanked this movie. When it came out in 2003, no one really knew who Bugs Bunny was, so it was a bomb at the box office, and then they decided to not make a Looney Tunes movie for over 20 years. So,
in Warner Brothers' defense, it's pretty good. It's really enjoyable. And I don't know, like you said, if just at the time nobody knew or cared or whatnot. I'm sure at the time going through production hell and you hear about it, you don't want to go check out a product and then have it be. But this movie does hit a lot of like the classic Looney Tunes beats. Like the whimsy is everywhere. It's in the humor, it's in the acting, it's in the music, both score and soundtrack. The story is extremely campy, but it's very fitting because it's Looney Tunes. And yeah, that's all I'll say on those things for a brief overview. But Griffin, what are your initial thoughts on this?
It's like, I'm not like terribly well versed in the Looney Tunes universe lore, whatever you want to call it. Like obviously I know like Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny and all of them, but like I'd only watched Space Jam growing up. I'd never seen this movie until like now. So getting into it, it was just like, yeah, no, this movie was just super funny. I loved it. Just like the slapstick humor and just like a lot of like hidden jokes too. That's just like I can see how they snuck that in there.
Yeah, I think for me the like hidden jokes are mainly what makes it funny. Like more of the face value like stand up of it didn't hit as strong as it did with the deeper jokes. Like see, I wrote some of them down. What were some of them? There's the ones where they make fun of like Bugs Bunny for cross-dressing, where he's like, I play the female lead or whatever, and she was like, 20 years ago maybe it would work, but nowadays no way.
Like, don't find a rabbit wearing lipstick and using them and say to each other.
Yeah, we're gonna ding that one. So there's one of those jokes. DJ Drake talking about how he's in The Mummy more than Brendan Fraser, and DJ's played by Brendan Fraser, which comes up later in the movie. And then like the Bugs Bunny Psycho reference. Yeah, that one's pretty good. The Walmart in the middle of the desert with nothing around it, but it's like a fully functioning Walmart with no gimmick behind it. Like it's just really funny, and I think how I mentioned earlier with the whimsy of all this, the score really highlights and capitalizes on this with having that classic whimsy, but with it being kind of a spy movie for parts of it, it hits those familiar like spy motifs, and the soundtrack is a really nice balance between classical music and early 2000s. I mean, Viva Las Vegas scene is like forever engraved in my brain and memory, and I don't know why specifically that scene, because like rewatching it, it's a funny gimmick for like a minute and a half and then it ends. So I don't know like why that one specifically sticks in my head, but it does.
That's the only scene that like I fully remember as a kid. Like that scene just stuck with me. I had no idea why, but I just vividly remember that scene.
I just remember Michael Jordan shooting hoops. I've never watched.
Yeah, it's great, and the pacing is actually surprisingly really, really good for this.
Yeah.
It moves along well. It doesn't feel rushed. Doesn't drag along. It takes the time that it needs, and it just gets you in and out without wasting anything. But what are some other things that we enjoy with this movie?
Well, so I have one specific joke that's at the very beginning. You miss you. It's so easy to miss, and I only caught it from this rewatch. So it's after Daffy Duck gets fired in the movie. They go through all hijinks of the DJ chasing them through the Warner Brothers lot, which is awesome. I would love a full movie of the Warner Brothers lot with animation, all that. That was really fun. But so at the end, DJ ends up getting fired as well. And when he does, the old like police officer is taking his badge and stuff like that. Well, when DJ goes to walk out of frame, all of a sudden you see the police officer step down, and another police officer comes up and takes a step stool so that the older police officer could be taller and reach the DJ, because DJ was like a foot taller than him.
I missed this completely.
That's in my head. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's completely in the background. They do not say anything about it. There is no hint to it. It's just a random thing that all of a sudden I saw a dude carrying a stool, and I'm like, I gotta go back. What just happened? And I go back and I see all of a sudden the older dude just steps down, and I'm like, oh, what is happening?
Yeah, I think it's really funny when movies do humorous jokes like that, where it's things that are out of frame, because your eye doesn't tend to go there, so you can get away with some of the smaller ones, but then the like longer running gags that happen in the background, I think over to like Yosemite Sam, that whole entire area in Vegas and the casino has a bunch of stuff happening in the background the whole time. So things like that always add some humor to it. But
So like another thing I really liked about this movie is like how well like the animation and like the real life footage were bonded together. Like it never feels like choppy. It's always pretty smooth, and it's just like the way like Bugs Bunny or Daffy are able to interact with the world is also just really good. Well done.
I really like the fight scene at the Yosemite Sam part. I felt like, because it's DJ fighting animated people, and I thought that was actually truly well done.
And he fights them in like such a cartoony way too. Like the sound effects are like, and like it's just goofy stuff flying off. It's just great.
I will partially agree. I do think that it's very smooth, right? And like that fight scene specifically is really well executed. You get them interacting with each other well. But I think the CGI for the animation of it kind of embedding into the live action side of it doesn't always hold up. It's definitely shown its age. It's not insufferable. Like you can get through it. It's fine. I think the main reason that it doesn't is whenever you're close up on it. Whenever you're at like a medium or longer distance, you kind of forget that it's even there. But you get closer up and you can kind of see more of the finer details of the drawings for the animation there. And I don't know why, but I noticed it mostly with Daffy, where like his feathers, I guess, like reflect the sun in a weird way, but it's in a crappy animation way. So it looks like a really weirdly hyper realistic, but like only on one section of his body, and the rest looks completely fine. So it's like this weird hybrid of like normal Sonic and re-rendered Sonic, where it's like an unsettling kind of thing, but not like unbearably unsettling, and so like it doesn't always hold up the best, but you can get past it pretty well. I think the main two things that really kind of hold it back for me are some of the story beats and Yeah. I can't even argue with it. It's just true. But yeah, some of the plot beats, not a huge fan of. I don't want to get into that just yet in case there's other things that we want to talk about that we enjoy. And bring it down just I'm trying not to. Tell you what, we'll circle back to this. Patrick, what else do you like about this movie?
Steve Martin.
Peak.
Oh my peak.
Yeah.
Dude,
Honestly.
I did not know it was Steve Martin as a kid.
See, I didn't either.
I always thought it was Michael Myers. Because he has that Austin Power. Like,
He really does kind of have the Austin Powers vibe, yeah.
I completely thought it was him, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, that's Steve Martin. And he plays the most insane dude ever. That has the most insane lines. It's insane, just slapstick comedy, but it's so good.
The blue monkey.
He's the most random thing he's ever.
Right.
He's like, he starts laughing and he almost just falls back while just standing completely still. But it just works. He's that crazy. It just works for him.
Yeah, leave it to the SNL alums to carry the show. But yeah, Steve Martin, I think, of the cast is one of the standouts, if not stealing the show. I think Brendan Fraser does a really good job, and this is a very Daffy-centric movie, to where I'd argue that Daffy is the main character. But Steve Martin, man, steals the show all the time, and I'm here for it.
It's like, I'm guessing in the cartoons, like Daffy Duck's often the one like kind of being bullied. Yeah. So I guess this movie is just kind of his chance for the spotlight, kind of.
The redemption arc.
The redemption arc, yes.
Well, I guess it's about that time I get into the parts I don't like. The plot beats aren't anything huge. I do want to preface, like, I really enjoy this movie, and getting to rewatch it after not having seen it for, God, I don't even know how long. At least 5 years. But not having seen it for so long, getting to rewatch it has been a thrill. But I do watch it now with a more, I don't know if experience is the right word, but maybe a more mature lens, where I'm kind of like thinking about it more instead of like, haha, silly Sufi. But like, some of the plot beats, it's mostly just boiling down to characters end up exactly where they need to be when they need to be there. And like, the best example of this is the Walmart appears in the middle of nowhere, nothing else around it, not even a parking lot, and then they magically end up in Area 52, which is exactly where they need to be.
I love the Walmart part, especially because they joke on it. Like, they specifically go like, oh, this is an ad placement. And it's like, whatever. At least they just use it, and it's just, I think it works for me.
Yeah, the joke definitely works. I just think from a plot structure, it doesn't. However, this film's ending, without spoiling said ending, does address how this criticism is not necessarily that valid with the plot beats, just getting characters to where they need to be. So I'm not going to harp too much on that. It's just something there. But some of the other stuff, which still plays into this, is like, there's a videotape explaining what the blue monkey is, which is this, what's it called? It's it's like the trinket thing that everybody wants in a movie. What's it called?
MacGuffin.
Yeah, MacGuffin. It's basically just a MacGuffin. There's like a videotape. It's pure exposition for the whole thing. It makes fun of the fact that it's exposition. And then there's like some frame by frame things where, like, whenever DJ saves his dad from a trap at some point, like, frame by frame very clearly did not save him, especially if you know what the trap setup is based on the explanation from prior, but they just ignore it. So it kind of ties in, and it's a minor thing. I don't care for it in the context of that, but when you get to like the end, it makes a little more sense. So it's kind of like a lesser complaint. I think the one that has more credibility to it, regardless of the ending, is more so the objectifying women thing. I know this for the industry at the time, this was more of a standard thing. There's no getting around it.
That early 2000s kind of thing. It's very prominent.
Yeah, there's no getting around it or avoiding it with this movie. And it's not like in your face as much as some others are, which I do appreciate. I'm glad that they don't harp on that too much. But Kate gets objectified pretty heavily. Dusty Tales on introduction is completely objectified. And there's little instances of it throughout the rest of it with other characters. Some of which are used for like comedic effect on one-off lines. But just with the way that the world, I guess, has changed over time, it doesn't hold up those jokes very well. And some of them don't hit nearly as strong for me. But
times DJ falls onto a woman and it's like, ooh, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'd have 2 nickels on that. Yeah. But those are the main things I don't really care for, in addition to like some of the CGI not holding up. But overall, I do think this is a really great movie. The ending is actually pretty perfect, I would say. It just ties everything back together so well, and I don't want to spoil it just because it's funnier whenever you watch it and don't have that spoiler. So Cam, you're welcome. But yeah. What else do we want to talk about with the movie?
Another specific joke here that I really love. It's when they're in Area 52. They go to like the big spy wall, and it's like, oh, it's all this stuff, and of course DJ doesn't get that stuff. He gets the phone. But when they go over there, one, it's password protect, and it's on a post-it note right above. But what's even funnier is that it's all 7s. The only number that is used is just like 5 7s. And you can kind of see it on the post-it note, but when you actually see her put in the numbers, it's just one little thing she does. He doesn't like even try to fake it. It's just 7s. And just little things like that are just, it's
like,
the whole fall.
Yeah. It's just like, if you write down your password, like a post-it note or no card, or just kind of leave it out. It's just like no sense of security whatsoever. That's just so funny.
Yeah, and little jokes like that, I think, that just like aren't that sensible, but are just funny.
Oh, yeah.
Are still around today. I think back to Bullet Train, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I do intend for the 2 dudes to talk about it eventually. But there's a scene in there, and I know for a fact that when this episode happens, it will be brought up again with the water bottle. And I'm not going to go into it too much, but like, oh, you're in for a ride. Get it? Get off. Sorry, guys. You're all right. Just turn it off. But no, there's a scene with the water bottle in here, and the water bottle has a lot more to do in the like film than you would think that it does. And I'm gonna leave it at that for now. But it's something that's just so unreasonable, like a water bottle, has this entire bit for like 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, just purely dedicated to it, and it's so funny. But yeah, what else are we thinking? What are some other things that we had to discuss?
I like the one bit where they're in the desert and it's just like Willie Coyote trying to, stop. See, and just everything's going wrong for him. I know that's like his whole thing, but like,
yeah, I was about to say, because I remember you said you weren't like fully well versed. Like that's his entire gimmick, so I didn't know if you were aware of that or not.
in the Roadrunner,
Yeah.
Those were like one of 2 main Looney Tunes cartoons that was like really super. Because those are always hilarious. But
Yeah, I love that acting like out where they'd all their things don't work. The TV shatters into a million pieces, or
So this is the remote that works.
things like that.
missile launcher sorry. The missile launcher just kind of fires back at us.
There's just so many little things like that. Or at the end where DJ's dad is tied up on the train tracks, and then all of a sudden Steve Martin goes, "Oh, it's the pendulum of doom. The pendulum of doom. Why is that there?"
We didn't be there.
Little things like that. And it's so good. It just makes the just funnier and so much better.
Sorry, I'm searching something for deep thought here in a second.
Okay, well, I'm like even with the amuse in this are kind of good. So we never
Hang on, I have an idea. Just so it cuts cleaner, I'm gonna fake a smile.
So the cameos in this are kind of crazy. We talked a little bit about Jeff Gordon. He's the race car driver in the movie that is just randomly there. He's in the valet in Vegas, and it's like, oh, thank you for my NASCAR car. So like, why would you be valeting your NASCAR race car? And then Clary and Susan's Yosemite Sam, these people steal the car, which is just a fun chase scene through Vegas. But also, like, Michael Jordan makes a cameo. Yeah, I did not remember that at all.
I didn't either, actually.
Another cameo that I don't think most people pick up on, but because I'm a wrestling fan, I picked up on it immediately. So WCW and WWE star Goldberg is this big brooding bodyguard for the entire movie. he's in it way more than I remember. He's in like every scene with the villains. But he's in it a ton. He has no lines. He is just there.
He's just the father,
Yeah,
like security guard. Yeah.
it's so funny, but he's Goldberg from wrestling, and at this point he was out of a job. I don't think he was even at WWE at this point because WCW closed down in 2001, and I don't think he got to WWE until 2003 after this movie was filmed. So he was just randomly in this movie, and I don't know why. It's kind of funny. He's just randomly here. But I thought that the cameos were kind of great.
Yeah, it kind of ties back with like what I guess all of us were saying with the humor and these like deeper cut jokes. The cameos are a big part of that. But is there anything else that we want to talk about before we get into a deep thought here? Patrick, do you?
Monkey handcuffs on hand.
Yeah, that's another good one. Yeah. There's so many good jokes in this movie. If you haven't seen it, at least just watch it for the jokes. Maybe it won't work. Maybe it will, but it's worth checking out anyway. For the deep thought, though, with as silly and whimsy as this movie is, it's hard to think really deeply about it because there's no like super deep meanings on it. It's just funny and kind of making fun of movies as well, which I'm all for. So other.
The brother Warners being actual brothers. I completely forgot about that.
And see, I was wondering about that too. I looked that up. There's actually 4 Warner Brothers, not 2. And so as a kid, I always just registered that there's 2 because I'm like, well, if they're making fun of it, surely there's 2. But I guess there's actually 4 that founded Warner Brothers, which I didn't know. So you learn something new every day. But regarding the deep thought, it's not a very deep question. It's just up to preference, I guess. Is this movie better than Space Jam? Patrick, we're going to start with you.
Yes,
Elaborate.
just fully. Yeah, like I love Space. Space Jam is. I love Michael Jordan. He's the GOAT, obviously. But this movie is just so much funnier. Like, it has actual actors in it, so I can actually tolerate the human characters. Michael Jordan just isn't a good actor. Like, it sucks to say, but he doesn't act well. And it's so hard to take him seriously with all these other animated characters having so much better voice acting and all this other stuff. And it's still a great movie. Don't get me wrong. I love it. It's still childhood favorite of mine. But Back in Action is just, it has so much more charm to me. It, for some reason, Back in Action feels more like a Looney Tunes movie than Space Jam did. Which is kind of crazy to say because Space Jam is more in the toon world than anything. But it felt like Space Jam was making a cameo or Looney Tunes was making a cameo in a Michael Jordan movie. While this, it feels like it's Looney Tunes. It feels like these human characters are dropped in a Looney Tunes episode. And that's what that feels like. And I love that so much.
Yeah. Valid. Griffin, what are you thinking?
I mean, it's been years since I've seen Space Jam, so I feel like my comparison won't feel like 100% fair, but I'm gonna have to say Back in Action is probably the better movie. I just like how there's more live action characters mixed with animated characters, because with Space Jam, as you said, it's really only Michael Jordan within the toon world. But like here, it's like more toon characters in the real world, and I think that just kind of works better for this movie. Plus, the humor is much better. I mean, granted, I don't really remember too many jokes in Space Jam, but I'm gonna have to say, yeah, Back in Action is definitely better. What about you, Luke?
Well, we know I've never liked a movie, but I do know Ball, because Back in Action is better than Space Jam. With what you said about this kind of being more, or I guess Space Jam being more in the toon world, right? Michael Jordan, it's harder to act with him, not with that not being his background. I think that mostly stems from the fact that Space Jam is not a Looney Tunes character-centric film. Not Michael B. Jordan. Oh my God, get sinners out of my head. But Michael Jordan is the protagonist of that movie more than any of the Looney Tunes characters are. But here, Daffy Duck and kind of Bugs Bunny, but mostly Daffy, takes that role of the protagonist. And then the antagonist of it is a very iconic Looney Tunes group, being Acme Corporation. And then Space Jam, you have random alien monsters that may have shown up in the show before, but I wasn't around when the show was airing originally. So, yeah. And I mean, like, I don't hate Space Jam, right? Like, I don't hate the villains in that. The animation definitely does not hold up very well for Space Jam for most of it. And Space Jam does have a couple funny moments, but Back in Action just steals the show every day of the week. It's so good. With that being said, I think we're ready for ratings. So, Patrick's being his guest, we're going to start with you. What do you rate this movie out of 5?
So we have 2 more things I quickly want to just.
Never mind.
I'm sorry.
You don't got to apologize.
I remembered it as we were talking. They're both in Paris. So this movie, they then end up themselves in Paris. With the gag of getting there is super fun. Because it's just, how do we get there? And Bugs just goes, this is how. And then they're there. But from that point, they're at the Louvre. They're looking at, what's the painting? Lisa? Yeah. We're looking at the Mona Lisa.
The famous one.
And they get in Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and what's his name?
DJ?
No, the dude with the shotgun, Elmer Fudd.
Yeah.
They get into a chase scene throughout our exhibits, which is just so Looney Tunes to me. Them going through all the art, jumping in and out. That's so good. But what's really funny is Goldberg, the big-bodied art, comes up behind, kidnaps the female lead in a big duffel bag that is human shaped, and no one questions him. It's a big dude walking out of a public place with hundreds of people around, and he's kidnapping someone. Nope, nothing, doesn't matter. Just cool, on your way. As well as, I also just remembered another thing, sorry, just fucked. Earlier in the movie, when they're going to Vegas, and it's the female lead and Bugs Bunny in the car, and they get dressed, the car ends up dressing them up in a tuxedo and a dress. Why was the dress in the driver's seat if it's DJ's dad's car?
Wait, I didn't realize that. Wait. That's a very valid question. Hold up.
Because wouldn't the dad be driving, so he would need the tuxedo? So why is the dress in the driver's seat and the tux in the passenger seat?
I never clocked this, but on rewatch, I also think the car's model changed because I'm pretty sure when it starts, Bugs Bunny gets in the driver's seat initially, but then Kate is magically in the driver's seat, but it's on the wrong side of the road for America, which is the correct side of the road for everybody else. So what happened there?
Because it's supposed to be a British spy vehicle. That's what it's.
Okay, but yeah, okay.
It's a British spy vehicle in America, so they're on the wrong side. They're standing on the wrong side.
But you do raise a good point. That still begs the question: why would Why?
Did they know?
Well, okay. Because it's also possible that because it comes out of the little arm things that are in the middle console. Maybe it's just auto assumed. But
how would you auto assume?
I don't know.
That's going to be based off.
Yeah. That should have been. That would have been a much deep thought.
I just kind of noticed that. Why?
I guess we'll never know. But yeah. Do we think we're ready for ratings then, or is there anything else that we want to? Now you're good. All right, Patrick. We'll start with you. What are you thinking?
Easy 5 out of 5.
Peak.
One of my favorite movies of all time. Well, it doesn't get much better than this. It's just so.
Griffin, what are we thinking?
I'm thinking, all things considered, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
All right, pretty solid.
Animation's really good. It's just really fun. I really enjoyed it. It's a good time. So Luke.
I'm also going to give it a 4 out of 5. I think. Can you believe it? I've liked a movie after how many episodes of me hating movies, except Martyrs. Martyrs is good, but yeah, no, this movie is pretty great. I think the humor is really what kind of sells it for me. The acting is really good. The plot is pretty consistent. It has plenty of jokes in the plot to make fun of its own plot, I guess. ending's funny as hell. And I'm not going to spoil it. It's better if you watch it and find out. So that's why. You're welcome, Cam. But even despite that, I'm not a huge fan of the way the women are kind of portrayed in it, just because of how times have changed. It doesn't hit right. It feels weird. Some of the plot, just kind of getting characters where they need to be, it is a little bit annoying, but it makes sense once you get to the ending, so I can't hate it too much for that. I think the main other thing is really just coming down to the animation, on where, yes, it is smooth for the most part. It runs pretty well, but you get any closer than like a medium shot and you can really tell, and it kind of takes you out of it for a minute, and you're like, that doesn't look like it belongs there. But yeah, 4 out of 5. It's a really great movie. I think I'll leave it at that. But with that being said, for the Two Dudes Talk Movies podcast for Looney Tunes Back in Action featuring Patrick Schmitz, I'm Luke.
I'm Griffin.
I'm Patrick.
And we will see you next week. Bye.